What's up, guys? Coach Nate. Today we're going to be talking about a very big, prominent, and I would say even dangerous fitness myth, and that is if some is good, more is better. We live in a culture obsessed with more. And when it comes to the fitness industry especially, we don't tend to do this as much with other areas of our life, work, relationships, but when it comes to our fitness, it is like all or none, black or white. There is no middle ground. And I think that's where, that's why so many people, one of the reasons so many people are walking around unhealthy, overweight, weak, sick. They're not where they want to be. And I think it's because we think in these all or none terms, which are not helpful. So I'm here to tell you that if some is good, more is not necessarily better. And I'm going to give you some examples. We're going to talk about water, strength training, cardio, and fat loss. So water, some is very, very, very good for your health. The benefits and the importance of water cannot be overstated. The vast majority of our water, a massive percentage of our body is, a massive percentage of our body is made of water. It's super important. So yes, we need to stay hydrated, but people die every single, and this is not to scare you, but it is to say there is a point where too much can happen. People die every single year from overhydration. Now, some of you guys already knew this. Some of you probably didn't know it. And so I think it's really a terrible idea. I think it does people a disservice when we just say, oh, you need to drink a gallon of water per day. Here's the thing. A 70-year-old woman who's 100 pounds, who is largely sedentary, has in the winter in her house needs a very, very different water intake than a 300-pound man that's outside working construction in the middle of the Alabama summer for 12 hours. They need very different water intakes. All right. If this dude drank the water intake that she needed, he would be horribly dehydrated. He'd probably die from dehydration. At the same time, if she drank the kind of water that he needs to be drinking while he's outside working all day, she's probably going to die from overhydration. So it is doing people a disservice to say that if some water is good, more is better. So we shouldn't just walk around praising people for drinking lots and lots of water, all right? And look, quick note on that. We can do a video on this another day, but if you want to know if you're drinking enough water, two things. God made your body very smart, okay? So number one, look at your urine color, all right? It doesn't need to be crystal clear, but maybe a yellow, a light yellow, you're probably good. If it's like a dark yellow or brown, get some water, all right? You might even need to get some medical attention if it's like crazy color. But anyway, any other colors than that, I don't know what to tell you. You probably need to go ask your doctor. Also, your thirst. Are you thirsty? Drink some water. If you're not thirsty, don't. Unless you have some kind of crazy medical condition, your body's thirst signals are probably very, very dialed in, okay? So next is strength training. Some is good, absolutely. More can be better to a point, but more is not always better. So here's what happens. If we look at the x-axis, feels like you're back in math or science class, the x-axis is going to be how many days per week you work out, or maybe how long your workouts are. Basically, it's just length of time, amount of working out that you're doing. And this is progress, okay? Muscle building progress. Well, as we see, we get the most progress from our first day, 2, 3 days of working out. But as we start getting to 4, 5, 6, 12, whatever workouts per week, are you making more progress? Yes, you're making some, but the difference is less and less. Eventually, if you follow this map all the way out, this graph all the way out, you actually will start to go down. You actually start to get worse progress. But what happens, this is your recovery, all right? So, as long as we're staying shy of our recovery, which is different for every person. Some people can tolerate 2 workouts a week. Some people can tolerate 6. Some people, athletes, they've been training for decades and they've got a bunch of time to dedicate to sleep and eating and recovery. They can train 2 a day, 6 times a week, all right? But that's not who we're talking about. This is why for most people we recommend 2 to 3, sometimes 4 days per week. That's usually the sweet spot. You're training really hard. You're getting a huge chunk of progress, all right? And yeah, maybe we're leaving 20% of gains on the table, but you're only having to work out 2-3 days a week. It's not worth doubling or tripling the amount you're working out just to get a little more progress. Not if you're just an everyday man or woman. But again, at some point, you work out so hard that you surpass your ability to recover, then you start creating more fatigue and your results actually get worse. And I found, again, if you're not an athlete training for a competition, if you are, it makes sense to kind of toe that line there. But if you're just an everyday man or woman trying to get lean, strong, and healthy, you can build an incredible body in terms of how you look, how you feel, how you perform, and your health with just 2 to 3 days a week of training. So if some is good, more is not necessarily better. Cardio, same thing. Cardio is very good. It's good for your health. It's going to burn some extra calories. It can help with fat loss. Side note on that, if your diet sucks, good luck trying to out cardio your diet. We have clients that try to do it all the time. They're like, hey, can I just hop on the bike for an hour a day instead of eating better? Good luck with that. It's only going to work like maybe 5% of the time. You've got to clean up your diet if you want to lose fat. Cardio is like the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae when it comes to fat loss, but it's not like a great primary contributor to fat loss. Anyway, just needed to get that out of the way. So cardio, very beneficial. Great for your health, great for recovery, great for lots of things, but just like strength training, some is good, but more is not better. At some point, you're going to start running into recovery issues depending on how intense and how much cardio you're doing. So do a little bit, 2, 3, 4 days a week, maybe some zone 2, a little bit of zone 3, light to moderate effort. You're going to get a ton of benefit without creating a lot of fatigue. All right, and last but not least, fat loss. How do you lose fat? Through a calorie deficit. It's the only way besides like surgery or cutting off a limb. But don't recommend cutting off a limb. And most people who are watching this are not going to go the surgery route. So the only way you're going to lose fat is through a calorie deficit, meaning you're eating fewer calories than it takes for you to maintain your weight. You don't have enough energy. Your body has to pull it from somewhere, stores it from fat. All right, that's what fat is. It's just energy stores for later use. All right. Here's the thing with a calorie deficit. Yes, if you create a huge calorie deficit, you will lose more fat. But again, you have to look at what's going to happen here. Like, sure, if you just didn't eat for 30 days, you would lose a ton of fat. But number one, if your calorie deficit is too big, you will start losing muscle mass, which is not good for your metabolism. You're not going to have that lean, toned, defined look that you want. You want to be lean and strong. You don't want to be lean and soft and weak, all right? You want to be healthy and fit too. It's not just about being skinny, all right? So, you want to create a calorie deficit as well that's sustainable. If you're starving, if your blood sugar's low all the time, like you're not going to stick with it. And so the fastest way, tortoise in the hare, right? It's the fastest way to win the race is to do it nice and steady, all right? And within that, find a sustainable calorie deficit and be as aggressive as you can with that calorie deficit, right? Find the biggest calorie deficit. If you want to get fast results, I want you to get fast results. But more importantly, I want you to get results that you can get and keep for life. So if it takes you 2 years versus 1 year, 1 year versus 6 months, 6 months versus 3 months, it's worth taking the extra time to do it right. Do it sustainably so that you can keep your results, because most people, they'll try to create this massive calorie deficit and they do it for a few days, a few weeks, maybe at most, even this is rare, a few months, but then they fall off the wagon, go back to their old eating habits, and they're no better off than when they started. So look, with all of these guys, find an appropriate water intake, strength train 2 to 3, maybe 4 days a week if you're young and healthy and you're really trying to get jacked. Do some cardio 2 to 4 times a week if you're trying to improve your health and just be in better aerobic shape, maybe improve your recovery some, and create a low to moderate calorie deficit, or you could even create as large of a calorie deficit as you are able to comfortably sustain so that you can continue to lose fat week after week after week without feeling like you're deprived, all right? And this is why, if some is good, this is not true, this statement, if some is good, more is better. Not true. You want to find the sweet spot. Fitness and health, fat loss, strength training, all that. It should not be all or none. We need to find a healthy middle ground.